What do you think about the intensity from your teammates out there? Was there enough in the game? Did they give enough, do you think?
What you mean? Your question of my teammates?
I can't say. I am the referee, I'm not the coach.
It looks good. He likes it. Nigel Owen's arm goes up. And Ireland have stolen the game right at the death.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Charge Down. With me, Rob.
Me, Dave.
Me, Neil.
Yep. So there's three of us, just to clear up any confusion.
Not a silent
All right, so we're gonna start with the Six Nations. We'll go with France, Italy, because that was the first game of the weekend. It's poor enough, but Italy couldn't get out of their own way at times.
Yeah, there's multiple chances to end that game. And this is something I'm going to bring up. You should take your points. And we'll see it on the other games later. But I think people are now too far away from taking points and are going for too much tries now.
Did Italy do that?
They went to the corner in the first half alone about 4 or 5 times. Made a penalty in the 22.
This is a big problem, I feel, because the mentality and the psychology behind it is fascinating, really. Because if they go to corner and they get another penalty, you have to go to the corner again, I feel. So it's all based on that first decision that you make. If you don't take the 3 initially, you have to double down every time because you're like, oh shit, we've wasted another 5 minutes here, so we have to get more out of it. It's kind of, it's weird, but you do see Ireland and, as you say, Italy doing it a bit.
Yeah, they had a good bits in it. Like their centres were impressive. It was a start for the 21-year-old first start. It was like Zoni or something like that.
He was very good. He made some great carries.
And they have another good centre from a couple of years, Campinero, like they centre or wing.
He wasn't playing that day. He was notably absent.
I'm just saying that they have a few
players coming through the system.
Their under 20s beat Scotland in Scotland, and they had a decent enough performance.
To me, it seems like every other Italian team, apart from the men's 15s professional, seems to be doing alright. Like the women's did better than expected in their thing. The under 20s did better than expected. Teresa are doing well. So there seems to be
hope there.
Yeah, they're doing well in areas, just not in the area that most people are interested in, sort of thing, you know. I think some of their players they're bringing in from abroad have been good for them as well.
Yeah.
Like Jaden Hayward, I think, is their 15. He made a few good breaks, I thought. He was good under the high ball, good clearance kicks. Like, he was fairly solid. You know, that's what you want from your fullback, solid and consistent. The guy who would be one of my players at the tournament was Bram Stein. He was alternating between 6 and 7 for Italy. Like, talk about actually appearing to give a shit. Like, he's South African. He's walked into this Italian system and he bleeds passion, and I don't know how he does it. Like, because what's their loss streak now? Something like,
they haven't won since 2015.
That's crazy, but he goes out there every week, and my God, the man puts in some shift. Like, I think Leinster would like not be amiss looking at him. Seriously,
I understand what you mean. We wouldn't go for him because
I know, because the international windows and all that. But the man's crazy good.
Yeah, like you can say for them that they created a lot of chances in that game.
Do you remember the try where Penno knocks it out of his hands at the end?
Like, if that ball was in his left hand, that's fine. Or he straightens and passes. Like, that's just you could win the game there. With 5 minutes to go, or whatever. It was close to 5 minutes, I think.
Very close.
And they don't. That's just like that's like winning teams would win in that situation.
I feel like France just didn't lose that match.
France have a few players that can score from anywhere, pretty much. Like, and so when the game's is in the balance and they're not being put out, they'll score. Like, at the end of the game against us, they managed to score 2 tries quickly enough, and they just managed to hold against Italy.
That's what they did. They held. They didn't do anything really.
Like a try at the end to seal it off, and like, the difference between the teams. Like, France struggled to beat Italy. Italy should have done better.
Do you know who really, to me, was shite? Absolutely shite. Was Parise. I think if you watched every time something went wrong with Italy, Parise was involved, or was he was involved mere moments before. He throws these passes that, Like, he kind of reminds me of Sexton in a way. He'd throw you a shit pass, hospital pass, you'll knock it on or something, and then he'll look at you like as if it was absolutely your fault. Like, that frustrates me when I see Sexton doing it, and I'm starting to dislike Parise now that I'm seeing him do it.
Much longer.
True. I actually think it would be good for him to get out of the way of Italy.
Yeah, there's a school of thought that way. I remember a few years ago, more than a few now, he was injured for Six Nations, and Zani came in at 8, and he had played a stormer. Like, it's a hard thing to balance because Parise does try to put the whole team on his back, and he just throws those crazy passes, and he just drop goals. And you're like, why'd you do that? Like, you've been better building. But on the other hand, when you're that good of a player, surrounded by not that good of a players, you understand why he does these things from time to time.
But I watch him. One thing he's really good at is fielding kicks. Absolutely, he's probably the best 8 in the world at doing that. But beyond that, I couldn't see much to his game that I wouldn't think someone else couldn't step in and do.
He's pretty old now. He's not the player he was 5 years ago. But
like, I think it's almost creating a conflict in the back room of loyalty to Parise versus loyalty to coaches and sort of thing. He's creating a division, a schism even, which might even be what happened. It might even be what's happening in the Ireland situation.
Well, there was a few years, well, not a few years ago, there was this division in the Italy team between people who had Argentinian roots, like Parise, Castrogiovanni, a few others that spring to mind, and those who weren't Argentinian ones. That was a few years ago now, but as though they've kind of filtered out a team that's less evident.
Did you see what happened to Geraldini?
He
His
buckled his
knee.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Could you hear him screaming on the ref mic? Jesus Christ! I don't know what he did, but he's just running along and getting ready to tackle someone on his knee. You could see it kind of popping or something, and he went to ground. I think he was crying as well.
He would be
It must have been brutal. Like, a man of his experience, and I'm sure he's been through the injuries. The screams on the ref mic were stomach turning. Yeah, and the French players went over and started patting him on the head and all.
mocking him for his weak knees. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, as you say, Italy have someone to look forward to with the rest of their levels below it. I think that's why you do keep Conor O'Shea in that position, because hopefully they can build from this into a more competitive team. They're just not there yet. But France, there's no real hope in France, I don't think.
I don't see any sort of consistency for France.
No.
I can see them like next. It's getting less and less relevant to say this, but you can almost see them next year coming out and winning. But every year they do shitter and shitter, and for longer and longer, you're kind of starting to not believe that. But like, they have the players there to come out next year and just win.
Penal's was very well over the tournament, I thought. Like, they had some players there who will put in the work, who will like play well, but it's just so random. Like, you can have a good performance, like say against Scotland,
Yep.
and then the previous week you have like Hughes playing a fullback and no one knows what's happening.
It's wild.
It's just like, for them to succeed, it'll be more random than anything else.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It feels like a coin
The
flip.
thing is, it's hard to do that over 5 games.
Yeah.
You're like, may happen, but I just don't see it. Like, they're
Coin flip for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Every game.
not
coin
winning a
flip.
game, but it's not going to win. It's not going to win you over consistency.
So like, on their day they could beat the All Blacks, but it would just be total coin flip.
Yeah.
And then they could lose to like, I don't know,
Tonga.
Georgia or something next week. Like,
Yeah, that's not. But I think the thing is, they're less likely to do those big wins now.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It seems to be a gradual downward slope with these occasional blips where, okay, they seem to do something good. Now, this tournament they didn't really do anything good, so I mean, is it the end for rugby in France?
No.
How do you solve it? Rugby's dying globally, lads. How do we solve it?
It's actually quite healthy in France. It's just the national team is a bit of a.
But I think that'll bleed into, if that continues, I would surely say that should have to bleed into other aspects of the game in France.
They're happy enough. The club level and the local level. So
No, man, there's no way that can continue like that. Imagine trying to watch that. Like, you'd be pulling your hair out.
you'd be watching your club then.
Your Toulouse and your Racings and
Not even that. Like your local.
oh yeah, the local clubs too.
It's like the Paris GA club essentially for them. It's really important for the local team to beat the next village over. Like that's the heart of rugby in France. It's not really school. Excuse me. It's not really schools. It's more local clubs and rural clubs.
Towns.
And they don't really care too much how well they want. France seem to do better, but the home club is the heart and soul of it.
All right, we'll move on now to the Grand Slam decider, Ireland versus Wales.
From one pile of misery to another.
Yeah, this one was a tough one to watch.
Yeah, going into it, I was confident enough.
I
I
was
have no idea why now.
Yeah. I was quietly like, okay, we can handle Wales.
Yeah.
This is what I feel everyone in the nation was. We did an average enough performance against a terrible France, and all of a sudden we're world beaters
I
again.
suppose the thing was that it was an improvement. Like the forwards have played very well. We thought if we played like that again,
But you have to look at who they're playing against.
true. But the thing was, this was probably one of the worst performances I've seen under Joe Smith. I can't think of a worst one. England was pretty bad, but you could say English ambushed you. You didn't have like 4 games previous to analyse what Wales were going to do. You had time together in your units. But it was... I don't think you can call it bad, because bad implies you tried to do something and you failed at it. Well, this was an inability to get to the level of bad.
Yep.
It was so poor. James Ryan played okay.
Yep.
Keith Earls, I thought, played well enough.
You know, well, like that's all you can do as a winger when your team goes bad. It's not like that bad, and that's literally the only thing you can say. Some of the subs did okay, and some of them played poorly. But like when you've everyone playing so poorly, it's concerning. It's absolutely baffling how this team has descended from beating the All Blacks, World Player of the Year, to absolute drains.
Well, it's funny you should mention this, because I remember a couple of months ago on this very podcast I called out Murray for his form after coming back after the injury, and I called out Sexton for his head melting moments in the Munster match, and I said, will this be sort of bleed into future prospects? And you were like, no, these are world quality players, they'll come back and be fine. And I think Ireland's 2 main problems have been those 2.
Yeah. Joe Smith, obviously, once the English game's over, he's put out a stall that he's going to play Sexton and Murray back into form. And that's what he did, and that cost us so heavily. They're playing incredibly. They're getting worse and worse, which is not good to see. It's a great worry, because if they don't get back to their level, that's it. Like, we might beat Scotland World Cup, but we're not going to beat the Box.
I think what was most frustrating about the match to me was the fact that he didn't sub Sexton and Murray off after like 50-55 minutes. What are you gaining from them? We've lost the match. That's apparent to anybody watching. What could possibly be worse about getting some lads some time?
To play them into form. I think once you back them,
Leaving them out there is going to make them feel worse, I think.
Yeah, but I think we kind of have a system set up where you need an out half who's like Sexton and who's very experienced with the system. And the only out half we have is Sexton. You can do that. Like, you can say Carty is better, and he is at the moment, and Carberry unfortunately injured, but he's probably better at the moment. But these players, they don't have much experience and they don't fulfill the same role. I think it's similar to in American football. If you see like a systems quarterback, like a guy who will play what the coach wants him to play, and he can play that system, as opposed to like somebody who's maybe more athletic and better player but can't fit into the system.
But okay, you say you want to play them back into form. That's fine, alright. But you're saying that we only have one out half who can play within the team.
Yeah.
That to me contradicts each other, because then if you go to the World Cup and Johnny gets injured in the first match, you've deliberately shot yourself in the foot there, because you have these lads then who have got no experience in the system in pressure situations. Like, it was a prime time moment to get Carty some valuable time, and he just didn't. I can't understand.
I think one of the big problems was our 9 out of 10 both being injured and coming back playing shy form at the same time. Like, our forwards have been good and bad over the championship.
They were quite bad.
They're awful. Like, even the better ones were pretty
Call
bad.
out some of the stats there, Rob.
Peter O'Mahony, 3 carries for 3 meters. one tackle. Which
What was he doing?
I thought that was
He's had
very...
a lot of rucks. He's the most involved in rucks, apparently.
Okay.
Furlong
had 5 carries for no meters.
Yeah.
What about Stander? I thought Stander's one was a bit
Stander had 14 carries for 9 meters, which is relatively good, but overall that's still pretty poor return.
And on the subject of the back row, Sean O'Brien's done.
Yep.
Like, he played well at this in autumn and he broke his arm straight away, and he's okay then. But now he's gone. Like, that's another thing worrying. Like, this Lions back row, who's always injured but could play well, is now
Just always injured
that,
and doesn't play.
that could be his last Irish match.
Yep.
And we dodged the bullet letting them go, but it's unfortunate to see that this player is now just completely and utterly done.
I don't know about that.
He,
Like, I'd almost be one of the first ones to be throwing Sean Ryan under a bus, but when you put it like that, I think it's a bit extreme.
I know, but like, he just can't perform. I'm not very sure how true this is. My brother was saying that he apparently told Joe Smith that he wasn't ready to go, which is very unusual for a player, but apparently that's the player Sean O'Brien is.
What do you mean wasn't ready to go?
Like, he's not playing well enough to play.
Oh, right. Yeah, he acknowledges himself that he shouldn't be out there.
Yeah, which is very,
That makes me respect him all the more,
Which is like-
and it makes me respect Joe Schmidt all the less, because if someone says that to you, you don't fucking play them. I think.
He's kind of. It's unfortunate Levy and Van der Fleer were missing for that last.
What about Jordy Murphy? He's not a bad
Yeah,
player.
that's what you have to ask.
Sean O'Brien definitely he benefited from his name over this tournament a little bit.
Yeah, not anymore. I think like
No, that's
He's been dragged through the
I
muck.
think
Yep.
we've just our team is slowly malfunctioning. Like, there's a spine of the team which I think is like the 2 to 8, 9, 10, 12 and 15, and none of them are playing well.
I think Rob Kearney's playing well.
Rob Kearney is mixed over this. He gives you what he is.
I don't think that's.
Aki, for the first half, Six Nations, I didn't really comment on him because, like, he's playing outside poor halfbacks and this, but he's playing poorly. He's playing poor. He's not playing his natural game where he can crash it up. He's just playing really poorly, which is another concern.
Could you elaborate on that?
He doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Okay.
Like, last season, he was absolutely killing people in defence, making good carries. Okay, he couldn't pass it that well. He can pass well now, but he's doing nothing with it. I remember one time the move kind of broke down from a scrum where it broke. It was passed to him, and he kind of just crashed it back into the scrum pretty much.
Was that near the end of the game?
No, it was
Because I remember there was a moment near the end of the game. Carty had just come on, I think,
it was
and I think there was a planned move. Carty passed it to Aki, and Aki just kind of crashed it up, and you could see Carty getting angry, like.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't think Carty's a man to get angry easily. It was kind of just like, what are you doing? We had this planned move, and you've just taken it upon yourself to just run it into defensively.
Negating his strengths completely.
So we should be getting more out of him.
Yeah.
But at some point, maybe the player has to.
Oh yeah, he's not playing well, but he's not playing well within the system as well. I don't think.
So it might just be a low confidence thing then.
Maybe that.
I would think.
I don't know what the exact root cause is, but he's not playing well. Ringrose was playing poorly against Wales. Okay, Stockdale's not having a great season
relative to last year,
Yeah, like
especially.
he was top going into the match. He was top defenders beaten, and he's got a couple of tries as well.
What about the penalty count? I know at the end it was evened up, but
the worst thing was you couldn't really blame the ref.
Yep.
Like, it was harsh. Almost like everything he did was correct.
I didn't think at no point in that match did I think this ref is doing us in any
There was
way
a
wrong.
couple of ones where Alan Jones was lying over the ball, and he said, "Oh, it was reset in Ireland scrum," and we could see a penalty, and then we could see someone else from the scrum. Well, like a few minutes earlier, we got paid for it. Like small things like that.
What about that cross to the kick where Stockdale took it and somehow Hadley Parks caught him?
Yeah,
That
was worrying.
that's Grand Slam on the line, that extra shot of adrenaline.
And Hadley Parks is not fast.
No.
Yeah, I was amazed by that.
Last year, Stockdale probably scores that.
Yeah.
But form doesn't make you slower.
I know, but he's form maybe he gives you just an extra bit of confidence to put a move on or
Yeah, do your little goose step to
Get the
just
hand
as he
off.
throws his hand in.
Sorry, no, I'll just on Stockdale later before we leave him. He had a terrible start.
Oh, they're taking the kick off and going
Yeah.
straight into touch.
That was really bad, actually.
That set us up so badly.
Yeah,
That should never happen.
yeah, that was really level. And then Standard from the free kick from the scrum, just messing it up. Like these things, like if the team's going well, these are bad mistakes to make, but just compounding it.
I think it's interesting that our two worst defeats were against probably the two best teams, but the fact that we were scored against so early
Yeah.
probably might indicate some sort of mental fragility on our part,
They
an
were-
inability to come back.
They were similar enough, but they're different. England overpowered us.
No, but I'm just talking about that first 2 minutes wherein we were automatically 7-0 down. Like,
We weren't ever
if
really to recover.
you have malingering doubts in your head and you go out there and within 3 minutes you're 7-0 down, that's going to absolutely double down on them doubts.
Considering Ireland don't win if they're behind the second half.
Yep.
Going into the second half, I think it's one game last 20 or something. We've come back to win.
It was Italy.
Yeah.
So the coaches need to do more half time then to.
Well, I suppose we can talk more about what we need to do going forward. But for this match, like, Wales weren't good.
Nope.
Which is, like, I'm not saying they're bad. They put out their stall where they defended well. They committed to the game. They were up for it, and that's all they needed to do.
Well,
to score 25 points unopposed.
one thing they did really well, I feel, was they took their tree when the tree was on.
That,
Almost to a fault, even at, like, when he was on like his 5th kick or something. I was like, "You're still coming for the tree! Come on, can't you see we're terrible?"
it's the Irish team which prides itself on extreme low penalties. It's giving away penalties for free. Why not take everything you can get?
I suppose so.
Yeah.
And I thought Anscombe was a bright spark there.
Which it's a credit to Gatland that he can take this team of players who are not good in the Pro 14 and they're okay in their clubs, like abroad, and turn them into Grand Slam winners.
Yep. I know previously we've given Josh Navidi like saying he's a Pro 14 all-time great. But he was serious this whole championship.
And he's got a quarter of the Grand Slams, Welsh's Grand Slams.
That's, yeah.
He's the most successful Six Nations coach. I don't think you can argue that now.
And we kicked them out.
Years ago. I think he loves beating us because of
Oh yeah, you can tell.
fair play to him because he got stabbed in the back by Eddie O'Sullivan. What? We traded him for Eddie O'Sullivan. In fairness, he wasn't as good as Dan as he was then, but
do we think he will be moving on? Like,
he's gone out of this is his last Welsh Six Nations.
is he going to club?
He's
New
heading over to
Zealand?
New Zealand, I think, but
Yeah.
he's not.
Interesting, actually. Just future competition for the New Zealand coaching job between him and Schmidt.
Probably neither will go for it though.
No,
I don't think so. Maybe they will, but you have to guess. They like their succession planning. New Zealand. You have to be in a team first.
a club team.
Super,
Is that like a written in stone rule, or
pretty much? Or else you're either from one of those teams, or else you're already in the management system. Like
it's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have. So you learn off the coach.
If I was New Zealand, I'd be almost making an exception for Gatland in that
Yeah, the
regard.
thing is, they look at Gatland and they say, okay, Wales will be play for loss. Like, they're beating shitty Wales, shitty Ireland.
Shitty Ireland. We're only shitty for a while, alright?
I know, but he's saying
Look at the consistency over the man's career with
yeah,
Wales.
but then he sees consistency against Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand. They're saying,
Critically, he's never beaten New Zealand.
yeah,
So
and he's a terrible record against Australia. Like the amount of games they lose, like by 1 point or 2 points.
yeah.
Like, you still from New Zealand think, okay, you're winning Six Nations, but that's a second tier tournament to us.
It's a second tier tournament in New Zealand. I'd like to see them come over here and
Win it every time. But like there was a time where Wales, they'd win it, like 2005, 2008, like Grand Slam, and they wouldn't come in the top 3 next few games. They've got more consistent since around 2010 or so. But it used to be they either win it or they're 4th or 5th or something. So like if you over that period of time, you could say, well, Gatland's not too much. And they got to the semi-finals, World Cup, and a quarter another.
Josh Navidi, I think, was probably always as good as he is. It's just they had these.
They had Tipwork.
Yes.
They had
Sam Warburton, Toby Falatau,
Yeah. They had,
Dan Lydiot.
Yeah. So they could play at 6 or 7.
And Gatland does strike me as a sort of a pick his favourite no matter what kind of guy. Like.
He's very nice. He does throw people in. Like, I remember Tom Pridey, this is going back a few years, he's like threw in a 17-year-old in a game, give him 4 caps, and he's never seen again.
Yeah.
Like, he keeps his team
Fresh, he does.
Yeah, but he knows what his favourite team is, but he's not afraid to throw someone in if they've no experience.
Just to call back to the matches the week before last, I thought the way he managed Anscombe and Bigger was really cool.
Yeah.
He had Anscombe. Everyone was calling for Bigger to be on from the start. He had Anscombe, backed him all the way, had him on there till like 60, 65 minutes. Brought Bigger on to see the game out, and it just seemed to work really well. Like.
It's funny, like, if you look at Wales away games, this Six Nations, you say they're played pretty poorly. Didn't get a bonus point away in any of the games. Scraped past all 3 games, to be honest.
Yep.
They were lucky not to lose 2 of them. And they've absolutely dominated the 2 games at home against the 2 challengers, essentially. So it's very unusual. Like it's very like reminds me of a Heineken Cup campaign where you scrape that win away, get the bonus point, get the narrow win away, and you beat people out of the gate at home. Like
Actually, yeah, now that you say that, it's crazy that they were 16-0 down to France.
Yeah.
France, like we saw what France were like. And to be 16-0 down in one half is crazy, really, considering they're Grand Slam champions now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if let's just revert history here and say, if France had won that match, how would things have panned out?
I would have hit Welsh confidence. Maybe they don't beat England then.
I'm not just talking in a Wales context, I'm also talking in a French context.
Oh, big time.
Well, no, they would have got hammered by England. Maybe not as much,
Yeah.
but England would have hammered them.
You remember, like, the margins were actually so fine. Like last year, we scored that freak drop goal at the end to beat France.
That wasn't freak. That was hard work.
Well, it was hard work, but it was a low percentage.
Yeah, it wasn't what you want to rely on to win a game.
Yeah. And then Wales this year with Uge making his mistake, George North having an intercept, coming back from 16-0 down.
Like that's what happens for winning teams. Like the small things go your way because you work for them.
That is a big thing I felt this tournament, more so than other ones, was those fine margins.
Like remember, Stockdale got like 3 intercepts last year.
Yeah.
Now that finished off 2 games. But I suppose we haven't said it yet, but Wales were well deserved, and congratulations to any Welsh viewers out there.
People from Wales watch this?
I don't know how they do because this is not a video stream. I'm afraid of it. But it'd be interesting to see going into the World Cup now, what they can do with it. But I felt like Ireland was the England of last year. Wales were the Ireland of last year, and then England were the Wales of last year. Yeah. I was thinking this on the way over. Basically, we were the winners coming into it, falling apart. England were a team who did well, but were just until they drew against Scotland. But did well and come second and nearly won if they got one more game. And Wales were the team that Grand Slammed us with some narrow margins and some blowouts.
Alright. We'll come back around when we circle around and do our Six Nations review, but quickly we'll talk about the England-Scotland game. England were winning 31-0 at one stage.
Was it not 38?
31-0.
Okay, yeah, 31.
I kept it on for first minutes and saw England hammer and was like, this and that. Then I got a text saying it's 31 all. I'm like, what? What? I said, watch the highlights. England, that's very worrying for England that a team can collapse like that. They come back to draws.
That's one of the biggest collapses I think I've seen in any sport ever.
It reminds me of the England-South African games a bit. When in the previous year when they have like 30, 20 point leads in the first half an hour and end up losing it.
Scotland aren't bad. Like I think Scotland were the 3rd best team in that championship. I don't think we were. I think Scotland.
No, I don't think a team that lost to France like that can say you're 3rd best team. Maybe they were. They suffered from injuries horribly.
Well, when you put it in the context of their injuries, I think it's amazing how not shit they look.
That's world class Finn Russell. The next game will be terrible, but this game he was absolutely brilliant. When I saw,
he's unplayable.
Just absolutely bossing that game.
Some young lads, Sam Johnson.
Sam Johnson
fairly
was
good.
very impressive in the games I've seen him so far.
He seems quite slight, but
He's strong.
That's what I mean. Like a lot of times, I'd see a slight player, and I would think you can see in the way they carry and in the way they play, they know they're slight, so they sort of have that self-preservation. With him, I don't get a sense of that. He doesn't let it limit how he plays, sort of. Now, obviously, he's not playing these crash ball runs, and he's not trying to play a way that doesn't suit him. But he doesn't seem to have that fear of being quite a bit smaller than the other lads. He just goes out and plays his game, which is impressive. And it shows, because he plays a damn impressive game. Like, I hadn't even heard of him before this Six Nations.
To be honest.
And he's coming out, stepping in for Hugh Jones, I think it was, who got injured probably in the first match or something. He's definitely one to watch for the future.
Yeah. It'd be interesting now to see if Scotland can get a full team together into the World Cup, what that game against us will be like. Like if we still play like we do, they're going to win that.
Well,
They'll look at our England and our Wales game and probably your whole Six Nations and go, yeah, we can beat them.
Even the match against them, I thought 2 of our tries shouldn't have been. So our first try was Stockdale put in a chip over the top, and Seymour went to catch it and did this absolute dodgy pass to Maitland, who then dropped it.
Oh yes.
And Murray
God,
latched onto it and then dotted it down. He didn't dot it down below the post
yes,
for whatever
Andy
reason.
crosses.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can't rely on that as a type of try. Like, and then Carberry's try where the 2 lads went in to tackle
Oh yeah, freakish.
fell off. Like, to me, those are 2 freakish incidents that you can't rely on.
Yeah, but you never know how the game will go.
I know, but a hallmark of the Joe Schmidt Ireland of the past has always been these set play tries,
Yeah.
and I saw a hell of a lot less of that this tournament. You know,
Yeah, first of all, it didn't work as well, and we tried them sometimes, and some of them paid off, but it was just much less effective than last season.
I just think Scotland full strength could challenge
Like if we're
New Zealand even. Sure, didn't they nearly beat New Zealand recently? Am I mistaken? Hogg kicked it down the line and was running after it, and it narrowly went out over touch or something. Oh, there was like 5 points in it or something like that.
Was it South Africa?
No, I think it was 2 years ago at this stage.
Oh, 2 years ago. Okay.
But and it was New Zealand B team. But still.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, like it was still New Zealand, but they put out their B team.
So yeah, England. They look like the Six Nations was going to be great for them to return to form, and then it kind of just fell apart against Wales. And
Yep.
I think they hammered Italy still, but drawing at home to Scotland to retain the Calcutta Cup
Yep.
as a result. That raises a lot of questions, I think.
I saw online someone calling out that the match was fixed. How? It's the most random thing ever. Like, so they fixed it that England would go 31-7 ahead, and then
31-0 ahead.
yes, actually, sorry, it was 31-7 at half time,
Yeah.
and then for it to come back to be 38-all, like some coercion there between all the players. Like,
Eddie Jones was out blaming Lancaster,
Yeah, which is bizarre.
considering they won 2 tournaments after that.
how was the Lancaster's fault?
He said, they're mentally fragile from 2015, haven't recovered from it. I'm like, what the hell have you been doing the last 4 years? It's Eddie Jones and his hand grenades. So yeah, we said that's I said Eddie Jones has 2 years and he collapses. And last year was a collapse, and it looks like they were coming back into it. I'm not very sure where they are at the moment.
He's fighting against the collapsing nature. It's like he has the collapse in him still, but
Mitchell delayed it for a bit. And the kicking game worked great against us, and then Wales has completely countered it. So, interesting how that goes.
well, if you look at what England over the last few years, you'd always say like they needed the Billy Vunipolas and the Manny Tuilagis to be fit.
Yeah.
They had them this year, and they managed fits and starts. So
When they started
maybe
getting injured, they lost Itoje, they lost Mako Vunipola.
still they have a big enough base to draw from,
Yeah.
a player base. You would think to fill
They've
in
actually played an open side.
Tom Curry.
Yeah.
He was impressive this tournament, I thought.
Yeah, and they have Sam Underhill to go in and people like that. So they have some players, but interesting to see who they put at 10 though. Farrell was good against us, but not good against Wales, and not good against.
I didn't think he was not good.
He was okay, but he wasn't bossing the match.
Come back to 4 to 10.
He gets away with yellow cards from shoulder charges for some strange reason.
What was that incident? I remember. Oh yeah, someone put in a kick. It might have been
He's
Sam
cool,
Johnson, was it? Or
Yeah, and I think the commentator was making the point that he only had eyes for the man the entire
Yeah.
time.
He just keeps getting away with it.
Yeah.
He can't keep getting away with it. He just does. That's just his skill.
But you'd have to ask, what's wrong with his head that he does it over and over? Because he keeps getting away with it.
Maybe.
At some point, it's gonna
If he
like.
kept getting carded or red card, like if he got yellow carded or penalised against South Africa and they lost the match of it, you probably wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
I still think that was a good tackle. That one, yeah, but the one in the Scotland match, no, because it was just stupid.
He just gets away with it. So like, why not keep doing it? Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how these teams progress on from. We'll see a bit more in the autumn internationals, but
Could be
not autumn internationals. August and September warm-ups.
good for us, because I feel we play best when there's no expectations, and there should be absolutely no expectations now. But in the same respect, I was thinking there's a pressure now to not be shit, because I think people would, having seen that, expect us to sort of be shit now. So it's sort of like swung so much in the opposite way. There could be pressure to not be shit.
I suppose that leads us on to our roundup of the Six Nations for Ireland.
Yeah.
Dive
straight into it.
Yeah, I'd say if we're putting a number on it, I'd say 3 out of 10 or something.
Yep.
The middle 3 games. Okay, we have won 3 of them. We did okay. You'd be happy enough with those on their isolated them. And we were saying like the last game would decide a lot of it. Like if we won against Wales, we'd say okay, yeah, it's a decent tournament.
Yeah.
Like ambushed by excuse me, ambushed by England, but we managed to come out of it. But the manner of that loss against Wales now puts the whole thing into a much more negative light. Things like some open questions have been answered very negatively.
Well, I think the 3 best teams in the tournament were England, Scotland and Wales. And I looked at the tries we got against the 3 of them, and it's not good looking. Like I said about the 2 out of 3 Scotland tries weren't worked. We got the Cian Healy's try against England, which shouldn't have been a try because Meka Vunipolas' hand was quite clearly under it, so you can write that one off. We got a last minute try against England, Cronin to Cooney, which was just like England had already turned off at that point, so you can't read it too much into it. And then against Wales, we got the last minute meaningless try. So against the 3 best teams, I would argue 1 try out of the 3 best teams that we got was actually a worked move, which is like the Joe Schmidt hallmark. You expect them to be seeing them doing that, and we just didn't against the better teams. I heard one of the pundits saying that there's new defence. They're saying there's a new defensive system or something where they're rushing up, and we aren't adapting to this. But I think our attack is always like, I've questioned our attacking structure and all that for a long time under Joe Schmidt. It's just that our defence and our ball retention and our discipline has always been so damn good that eventually we do get them points. I think we are showing up in this tournament of we don't have a good attacking
I think it's
framework.
Several interlocking factors. Like I think Joe Schmidt's selections have been a bit crazy. Like the Henshaw fullback, that was a roll of the dice, which is very unusual for him. That didn't work out poorly. Sean O'Brien being rushed back in didn't work out. We had the biggest one, Murray and Sexton, both starting every game that they're fit for and not being subbed. I think that it's just like we were big fans of how Joe Schmidt can rotate a team and put pressure on everyone else. Like remember last year the back row, like Levy was out, Van der Fleer was in, or Sean O'Brien was in, or Geordie was in. Everyone had to fight for their space. Like Ryan was in, so Henderson maybe come in, and the props could rotate in and out, and you could basically switch people in and out, and so you had to earn your spot and keep it. But now it seems some players doesn't matter how they play, they can stay on for 70 plus minutes. Doesn't matter if the game's over or the game's in balance or what. And I think that's something we haven't seen under Joe Schmidt. Like he's loyal to players. All coaches are, certain players, and now it's so bad.
It doesn't fill you with confidence, alright.
Yeah, like we'll be seeing the warm ups and the World Cup, but at the moment he said, okay, need to get the players back into form. These are key to my squad. That's it. And I think that's just cost us so incredible much. Like it's deeply worrying that this is happening, in my opinion.
Well, he's damn lucky that he has the provinces there still kicking about in Europe to get Sexton and Murray back in and to give them a platform with which to get a bit of form, because that's top quality opposition they're going to be playing against. Well, apart from Ulster. But like if Sexton and Murray don't get back to their best out of that, I think the warm-up games for the World Cup, Schmidt has to look, if they carry on with much the same, I think Schmidt has to look about dropping both of them potentially. Because, and even you can, our group in the World Cup is such that you could almost use it as a development into the next round. Because, I mean, Scotland, I have just said they're good, but, you know, they're not world beaters. Japan, same thing. So you could almost say he could get a good long stretch there with 2 inexperienced out half and scrum halves, and use it as a development phase.
And
I
the
think.
fact that the backups haven't got much game time is an indictment of Smith. Like, we could have had 4 or 5 games with players getting half an hour, or maybe a start against Italy or something like that, or start against France. Like, a player could have like 2 hours or something of game time in Six Nations in hard matches at a pivotal spot. But we haven't. We've had a few minutes. We've had like Cardi getting 4 minutes against a team here or something like that.
Yeah, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. It's mind-boggling is the other thing. Like, this is not how you manage a squad. I think something has to be said about Peter Manny now. I think we've said like, okay, Sexton's old.
You question his teammates.
question him. We can say people saying Best are old, Carney's old, and Sexton are old. And that's valid. But you have to say maybe Peter Manny's getting old. Like, maybe he's not. He has good performances here and there. That's not here and there. He does put in good performances. Not to diminish that. But I think if you have him, you have Van der Fleer, you have Stander. That's a light back row.
Who can we bring in to bulk it up? Jack Conan's not big.
No,
Levy's big enough, I suppose.
You put Byrne on 6.
Ooh, I like it.
That gives you the ground game. I mean, he's not as good line out forward as Peter Manny. He's great at, like, world class, but he's a very good line out forward. And I thought he was underpowered against Wales. I thought Rue had a much needed bulk. Like, that's why Rue's in the squad. You can see why he's in.
Yeah.
And I thought the scrum suffered with him in it. I think he's too light to be international second row against the big teams. So, but I think he like his ground game.
That is one aspect I felt we were missing in those 3 clutch matches that were Wales, Scotland, and England. Although we won in Scotland, but I think they were the best opposition out of the other 3 teams.
Yeah.
Was that pilfering on the ground?
Yeah.
I was looking at the stats, and in each one we had less turnovers. So
like Van der Fleer will give you a work rate and tackles, but he won't give you much turnovers because he's sliding. This is not his game. That's where Levy was big last year. I think Levy's doing a massive loss for us, and Sean O'Brien could do a turnover game. Well, he used to be able to. Now he's just not the player. He's a shadow of the player he was. And Rory Best is older now. He's declining.
Do we? Let's just stay on Ireland and focus on the World Cup coming around the corner. Do we? Like, those warm-up games could actually be very, very important for, like, Best, Sexton.
Yeah. The problem is with Best, Best
yeah,
replacement was Cronin, and he completely dropped.
Yeah, you have to stick with Best now after that, I think.
Yeah.
Unless he gets injured, you have to stick with it.
Your other options are what? Scannell, Herring, Tracy, maybe?
No.
Tracy
You have
Brown.
to stick with Best unless he gets injured, because he's laid down that marker now by dropping Cronin.
Yeah,
You can't.
Like, he does that. Like, why didn't he do that for Sexton?
Yeah.
Well, haven't people said that he has something against Cronin?
But Cronin has his issues on the pitch and off the pitch. But like other players do on the pitch, and they're not getting dropped.
What about, let's just say, Sean O'Brien? Does Sean O'Brien make the World Cup?
He shouldn't.
He should.
If he goes back for Leinster and he starts playing well, and he plays well in warm up, yeah, okay, bring him. But at the moment, he looks. He's just done. Like, his age caught up with him, injuries caught up with him, and he's no longer the player he was. And he's down the rankings of the back rows. Like, you start to question, does he play for Leinster now? Assuming Levy, Conan, Ruddock, and Van der Fleer are fit.
What about Deegan and Doris?
I don't think you drop him for them, but like it's very close.
Yeah.
Or maybe Fardy in the back row. Like, that's what you have to think. The second rows, like. Second rows actually thought did well, okay, over the Six Nations. Like, Delan,
That was one positive for me, actually, was the amount of second rows. We have depth there for once, where I didn't feel we had depth there before.
like,
There was,
we
I think,
missed
6
Tony.
different combinations. We did miss Towner big time.
But we know he can probably slot back in. But Henderson played well at times. Byrne did some things good in Wales, but he's part of a poor performance. I think he's, as I said, he's too lightweight for an international second row. Maybe he just wasn't used to the Six Nations. Like, it'll get a while to get used to that. But like, their second rows, they're good. You can slot one of them in. The problem is when you start slotting 2 or 3 of them in, when you're missed, like if you lose a few from injury, things start getting a bit disjointed. But like, they played well. That's the only unit you can say that has played well.
A big negative for me was our attacking structures and our attacking form and our ability to score tries. And I looked at the Wales, Scotland and England matches, and I took some stats here, right? Okay, to give you an impression of what Ireland were like in attack. Every match we had less missed tackles, okay?
Yeah.
Every match we had more possession and more territory. every match we had less than or equal to the amount of penalties conceded. We had more mauls won in every match. We had the same amount or more clean breaks in the 3 matches. And in every match we had more defenders beaten.
Yeah.
Yet, we cannot score fucking tries.
It's,
That's an indictment of the attack
Yeah.
system to me.
like I think people go on about this attack system by saying it's uncreative. Like we used to score loads of tries. Like okay, it may look uncreative and it may take a while to do it, but it was fine last year. But I think we rely on being incredibly disciplined.
Yeah.
And in the England game and the Wales game, they may have ended up similar penalty stats at the end, but they were very against us, deservedly, in the first half, and the game was still to be taken. We rely on making very little mistakes, and they were making a ton of mistakes. Like I remember I mentioned Stander like kicking the ball into the back of a player. Like,
Well, okay, a prime example, what would sum up our Six Nations to me would be the Scotland match. Even though we won it, the first half, we looked promising enough, I thought. It ended like 14-12 or something, that first half. And I remember, I probably said it before in this podcast, was all the pundits were saying, it's a great match.
Yeah.
There's been very little errors, whatever, yada, yada, yada. The second half, both teams came out and just were knocking it on all the time, passes hitting the ground, there was no real go forward. Like, that match was for the taking for us. With the new bonus point systems and all that, we could have went out there and driven on, and I feel like got a few more tries or whatever and put in a convincing performance.
Like,
It was anything but.
If we get a bonus point in that match, we were potentially going into the final round aiming to win it.
Yep.
But like as well, it didn't go like that way in the end because we were nowhere near it. But there was potential if we got those bonus points to.
Well, we absolutely let that slip away. And then if you look at the France match as well, like, what was it? 26-14 in the end. I know the 2 French tries at the end, but we had like 3 or 4 gilt-edged opportunities. We could have easily won that match like 40 or 50 nil. Easily. But for whatever reason, these errors just keep slipping in. And you have these chances where, like, narrow margins, you were saying it, Rob, and it seems to be it's not working out for us.
I think the big problem is the 9-10 we're playing awful, which means your back line is gone when that happens. Bundy Aki is not playing well at 12, although you have to factor in the fact is 9 and 10 are playing lower. Keeler is playing well enough, he's okay. Stockdale isn't doing as well as last year, so that's a negative. Our fullback for one game was Robbie Henshaw, who wasn't a fullback, and Carney didn't do that well. Like, so that's basically your back line not contributing to the game.
Yeah.
So that means your forwards have to dominate every game, and that's what happened in the French match. Our back line didn't do much, but our forwards absolutely murdered them.
Yeah.
And so we scored our bonus point try. As a result of that, was
I think
I rely on your forwards annihilating a team every time you play.
I was looking through the highlights just to get a sense for the whole tournament, like, and one moment that stood out to me as being in, like, just typical of what I feel was wrong was in the Italy match. It was one of the Italian tries. We were about 10-15 metres out from the Italian line. I think we had just had a maul. We were setting up for an attacking move. The ball was slightly slowed down in a ruck, and Murray was faffing about down there. Yeah. Sexton was standing far too close to Murray, roaring at him, okay? Tabaldi comes in from behind the ruck, through the gate, and just as Murray's picking it up, he rips the ball off him and legs it off down the field, and Italy score a try in about 5 phases after that. If you watch that one little passage of play there, I feel like that just sums up the whole tournament for us. Like, we were in a great attacking place, and Murray and Sexton just seemed to be acting the bollocks. I don't know what either of them were doing. It looked stupid on both of their parts, and then the other team go and get a try off it. Like, it's sad stuff, you know. It was Italy for Christ's sake.
I'm saying all this doom and gloom. If Sexton and Murray do get back into form next season, that will reverse a lot of this very quickly, I feel.
Yep.
We're kicking a lot less these days, and I think we should kick more now.
Yep.
But if they manage to get their kicking game back, we manage to get mistakes down and penalties down as a result of that, because we're under less pressure, and if Murray gets the ball out quicker from the just passing.
Have you noticed him doing that stupid hand movement he does? Like, he should be fucking going, trying to get the ball out rather than standing there and trying to influence the ref. I understand that, but it's stupid, and I think if anything has the opposite effect. Because if I'm watching and I think, what the fuck is this guy doing? I think the ref's probably also thinking the same thing. And you don't see other players doing it nearly as much as him, I don't feel.
Some do.
But, and another thing, we did a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, he wasn't doing it. Why is he doing it now?
Because the ball is slower, because his forwards aren't doing work, because he's not passing as well, because 10's not playing as well because the system's not good. But like,
The whole thing's just falling apart.
you have to wonder if there's discord in the camp. Like, I hate saying this because it's very he's the man, he's lost the players. But like, they were saying that in the warm up, the captain's run against France, like Sexton was going at, like, started a fight with Sean O'Brien and Porter. So the rumors, like, and this is a captain's run where you're just basically warming up. And I think I don't.
Okay.
I think
Here's the theory: the player of the year has gone to Sexton's head, and now he's just throwing strops at every opportunity.
he always does that, but like,
But now it's gone to his head, so he's more serious about the strop, and then it starts to affect him. I think
I
maybe.
laughed it off at the start of the year, but maybe there was something in that Munster match
Yep, no.
that's causing some disharmony. Like, it'd be very weird for it to happen, but
Yep.
maybe that most matches, because as a result of that, after that, Sexton's form plummeted.
Yep.
Before that, the team was going great, the Irish team, and after it was going, like, it could have nothing to do with it, but maybe that's disrupting. Like,
Does seem to be a big turning point in the season for me, anyway. And add that to Murray's problems, and you just have a whole shit heap. But you said if the lads do regain their form going forward, it won't be so bad. But I don't know about that, like, because of Schmidt's selection policy, Sexton doesn't have much longer left.
but the thing is, if Sexton and Murray are playing well,
Yeah, it will do you up until a point, and then all of a sudden there's a cliff.
oh no, I'm just talking for World Cup.
Okay, purely for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay, I was looking beyond that, but
But after World Cup, it's no longer Smith. It's all Farrell. So we see how that does. But going into the World Cup, if they play better, like, everything starts clicking. Like, it means Aki can crash the ball instead of getting a forward in the face. It means the forwards can start rumbling. It means the forwards aren't relying on to destroy the opposition every time. Everything gets a bit better.
will Murray stop doing his stupid hand movement and actually just pick the fucking ball up and throw it away from the ruck? Can he just do that, Neil? And can Sexton stop
It's
being a moany bitch? And where these narrow, like, man, it's so frustrating. Like, these narrow hits where they put it in on any out half. He just acts like, oh, why are they tagging me? Starts flailing the hands and just take the hit and move on. Like, it's so stupid. Stop appealing.
It's frustrating.
I feel like Farrell probably gets them hits just as much, but you don't see him moaning. Or do you think players are targeting him because they know?
So Sexton is definitely targeted more than the normal out half. But
Like, if you were game planning for Sexton,
Well, I would be, because I see how frustrated he gets by it.
you definitely be looking, and I think I saw it when the crowd was reacting when Sexton, like, picked up the ball and gets Wales and threw it in frustration, and like the crowd was loving it.
Yeah.
Obviously the Welsh guys were loving it too. Like,
Yeah. the player's having a meltdown.
yeah. So
He's playing terribly and he's not getting subbed.
Yeah.
I suppose looking forward into the World Cup then for the Irish squad, like, we have good depth in play. Like, we've good loose heads. Like, Kilcoyne is.
I'm liking Kilcoyne the more I see him.
His scrummaging was a bit weak against France now, I must say. Like, it was. He was getting done illegally, but he should be able to do something about that. I thought Keane Heaney had a good enough tournament until Wales. Then he just made a lot of stupid errors.
He got 8 out of 10 in the Irish Times ratings.
You stay away from those.
That was
I know,
crazy.
yeah. I was expecting to see like 5 out of 10 being the highest score for anyone, but yeah, I mean, he did give away at least 3 just absolute.
Yeah.
There was Stonewall penalties.
Yeah.
Like,
I
Best
just think, what are you
thing happened
doing?
in tournaments, in my opinion, if we're going on hookers. Scannell, I don't think he got too well. Like, he missed a few things. He missed a hook against France.
I remember that, yeah.
Cronin.
That was another. We were on their line with a
Yeah.
scrum. They had a yellow card. They had to bring Demba Bamba back on,
Yeah.
and he didn't hook the ball, and they just drove over and cleared it. Like, frustrating.
Cronin had a same pretty much. He missed a few lineouts.
got his first Six Nations start.
Yeah, 60-something gaps.
This could be his last.
So hooker is a worry, and that's a very important position to be have someone in.
Well, I was saying that before the tournament, and it still is the case about hooker being a worry. Like, nothing has been done to alleviate my fears.
But the thing is, everything else has gone worse around it. So you
True.
can no longer rely
Yeah,
on
it's
that.
it's less, obviously you can't just pick it out. Like, I think coming into the tournament I said hooker and scrum half were my 2 worries, and now I'm even more worried about them, but there's also a lot more worries. The only area I wouldn't be worried is second row.
Yeah, tight head for
Actually, second row and wings. I thought our wings were solid enough. I know Stockdale wasn't as good as he was,
Yeah.
but just looking at the highlights again, I thought both Stockdale and Earls, I had a more negative impression about how they played than how I feel they actually played on reflection. So I think wings and second row were fairly set.
It's good. Tight end, we have good depth there, but Porter was dropped and John Ryan back in, then Porter back in. It's their weak. But Ryan is a good scrummager. He was put in a weak pack, scrummaging pack when he came on, so you can't really hold that too much against him. Furlong was good aside from Wales. Okay against England, but everyone's poured in. Second row, we said second row was a bright point.
There's good rotation going on there.
Yeah, we know we have players to bring in. Back row was pretty weak. Peter Manny had some good points and anonymous, I think, in the big matches against Wales and England. Van der Fleer worked hard, but he's just not like that's what he is. Like,
I feel there's games where you can exploit Van der Fleer's assets.
Yeah.
Well, the other team could, but I'm saying you don't play him in those matches.
True.
But you play him in the matches. I think he'd be perfect against Japan.
Yeah.
Because he's not tiny and he has the energy to chase these small lads down. Like, you have to play you have to manage your players.
A high energy game is what he brings. I think Conan did well in his cameo. Standard did okay. Like that's the standard game. He works hard, carries, tackles. That's fine. That's Sean O'Brien, as I said already. He's gone, I think.
But our standards carries enough.
No, on his own, like, he can't fault for what he does on his own. But you need someone else in there. That's where like a Levy would be very useful. Like someone can take a tight carry after Standard sets it up.
Well, okay, let's just say Levy's not there. Furlong is a carrier. James Ryan's a carrier. We had Sean O'Brien out there. He's a carrier.
First of all, Sean O'Brien's not as good as he was.
I know, but it's like I saw people saying Standard is our only carrier and he's too telegraphed in that carrying. But you have these other lads out there too who can carry.
Yeah, the problem was against England especially was the ball was too slow, so where these guys were getting hit at the game line because England were flying out at them, so we're just getting the shit kicked out of us.
Why couldn't we adapt to that?
We don't adapt. That's that thing about Joseph.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
We might adapt at half time.
Might, yeah.
When he gets to the minute, he changes them, but they just don't adapt on the fly.
Yeah, that's kind of worrying.
Yeah, and scrum half was awful.
What? Like, why is Cooney? Like, what? It's a perfect opportunity to get that man some time.
Luke McGrath's injured, so they're not playing. But
why aren't you getting Cooney time? He's a good player. It's crazy to me.
Weakness of Smith.
Well, speaking of getting players time, so we've got the 4 warm-up games.
Yeah.
So, and if you looked at the rest of the domestic season, there's potentially a quarter-final, semi-final, final.
Yeah.
So 5. So basically 9 games left for guys to really kind of...
Yeah.
And that's if they get to the final in Europe, to really kind of put their hands up and start seriously looking for pressure.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Ireland games purely, there's just the 4.
Yeah.
You obviously aren't going to play in all 4.
No.
So you're looking at 2 or 3 games maybe. It's going to be interesting to see
Yeah.
how it all plays out. Like,
There's enough time here to give someone a
Get
solid
them
chunk,
in,
but you have to use it.
Yeah.
And 10, like, obviously same as 9.
Do you think we could solve the 9-10 problem by taking one of them out? Maybe one of them is the other's problem, or vice versa.
They're both problems, but they're compounding it.
Okay.
I think if you put like one of the other 9s with Sexton, it wouldn't be that bad. But I think Murray's the worst of the 2. But then Sexton had that awful game against Wales, so now I don't know.
Yeah. I did feel Sexton was the worst of the 2 against Wales, but before that I had felt Murray was more apparent.
In the centre, we didn't really have... Farrell didn't look that good when he was playing. Ringrose did well, except against Wales, but everyone played poorly against Wales. Aki, as I mentioned already, he's not the player he was last season with Ireland. And Henshaw never played centre. I don't think he played 8 minutes.
Henshaw?
No, in centre.
For who?
Ireland.
Well,
This Six Nations.
I don't think so.
He only played fullback. I think that's his only injury. The wings, like, I'm surprised we used so little wings. It was pretty much Stockdale, Earl started every game, I think. Conway came on to the bench for France. Lamour was starter against France. Okay, 6-9 with the minutes he got. He's still not there, especially in defence as a fullback, but he gives you a good attacking game. Carney, if you know what Carney gives you.
Yeah.
The more I see Lamour at fullback, I'm just thinking teams are going to cop it fairly quick. They haven't seemed to cop it already, but they're going to be testing him under a high ball.
Yeah.
Because I can think of 2 or 3 clear instances where people have kicked to him, whether they targeted him or not, and he's just completely fluffed it.
High ball and just general tactical kicking.
Yeah, so.
Like, that'll come, but like, it's a risk what happens if you put a more fullback.
Mm.
So like we have, Six Nations. We got some players in game time, but it was mainly a wash.
We didn't really learn too much, like in a positive.
No, not positive. Learned a lot of negative things.
Yeah.
I still think they can overcome it, especially because they see what's working in other teams.
Yeah.
What's we're not working in the other. So hopefully they can sit down and say, okay, and hopefully the provinces get the players back into.
Get them firing.
Hopefully in a more positive environment.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping that Ireland malaise doesn't bleed into the provinces.
This is like a 2014 or 2011 all over again.
Just for the love of God, like, I was saying to Rob before you came in there that it's just so lucky we have Ulster, because if there is a bit of malaise there, at least they'll be affected by it too. If it was like a French or an English club, Jesus Christ, I'd be worried. I'm very worried for Munster, in fact, because I think
Edinburgh are missing just a couple too many players. Like they're going to see some of them back, but I think the Scotland injury woes will.
Well,
I think both teams will get to. I think Munster and Leinster are at semis, and I think unless Toulouse beat Racing, I think we're both going out in the semis.
Yep.
I think Edinburgh might have the beating of Munster, to be honest.
Like
McAnally was phenomenal.
True.
Toulouse was good.
Yeah, but as bad as Ireland were, Scotland still finished below them.
Hamish Watson there. Hamish Watson.
He was injured at the start of the.
He just came on and was just wrecking Phils.
Then got injured.
He was injured?
Yeah. Sorry, maybe not in the last match, but in Six Nations early on he came.
Oh,
in.
no, sorry. I thought you meant he was injured in the match against England, so he wouldn't be available for the Munster match.
He might not be available for the Munster match. I didn't see it if he was playing against.
I think he should be available.
Alright. Leave it there for today. Yeah. Six Nations done.
Nice positive podcast.
Yeah. Moving on to the